Hello, my name is Tim McKay. I am a serial entrepreneur of 25 years, and I want to share with you some wisdom that I've learned over the years. Having been a student of the School of Hard Knocks, I have been hard-headed, belligerent, stubborn, and not been always so swift to make good decisions that would result in positive change in my life and in my businesses. I have been to the brink several times in my businesses and personally, in terms of getting right to the point of basically getting ready to be calling up for bankruptcy, but I escaped by the skin of my teeth. I want to prevent you from getting to that point and from the damage that can do to your life and to your business. So, that being said, there are 10 simple rules here, plus one bonus at the end, that I think are going to be your key to prevent you from losing your shirt. And so I've got this list before me here, so I'm going to kind of go through them one at a time really quickly. And the first one is, it's about mindset. And the first three here are really about this mindset. You have to decide that you hope to succeed, of course, but ultimately don't expect to be successful. That's the understanding I want to bring to you right off the bat. That's the most important thing. You can expect all you want, but you may not get there. There's a reason why 90% of new businesses fail. 90%. That's a lot. That means 1 out of 10 of you won't succeed past 2 years. So that's a lot of people who won't make it. And so I think what you can prevent your long-term mindset from is expecting that you're going to be successful. You probably won't. And that's okay. The ultimate message here is it's okay to fail when you learn from that and you build and you pick yourself up and you can do better. So that's the first thing. Second, don't expect everything that you do along your path will be successful. There's going to be a lot of turns left, turns right, a lot of surprises, a lot of disappointments, and of course that will also produce a lot of successes. So that's the next thing is again, this is a mindset of expecting that everything's going to work out as you plan. It won't. I'm here to tell you. Now, when you sit down, this is number 3. You might want to make yourself a budget, a forecast, some sort of estimate to figure out how much is it going to cost to do whatever it is your business is going to do. Now, here's the real key. Double the time. Double the cost. Then you've got a real estimate. I'm here to tell you, every time I've done anything, it's always been some surprise, didn't work the first time, got to redo it, got to spend more time and money and effort, showing someone else how to do it, training, blah, blah, blah. There's so many reasons why. You will have to double your time and cost on it because that's what it takes. And those are all just the standard things every business goes through. And I think this is where a lot of people start to fail. And this is why 90% don't make it, is because there are challenges you're going to face. And if you don't persevere through those, you won't get to your goal. So, brings me to the next point here. When things start to go sideways, there's a saying that I've heard, and I don't know where I got it from, but there's this phrase, never catch a falling knife. Absolutely vital. Block that into your mind. There is a certain point when circumstances will come up where it actually is beyond you. So I've been very close to the brink trying to catch a falling knife. Let's explore this a little bit more. Number 4 here is don't fail at all costs. All right? It's extremely important to realize that things will, like I said before, when you're making your budget, you're going to be planning to succeed. You're going to make a budget. It's going to take double time, double cost. But don't fail in your business at all costs. You're not out there to spend as much money. You want to spend as little money to make as much profit. And so you need to fail fast. You need to fail often. And that's in your day-to-day, but it's also in your week. It's also in your month. It's also in the quarter. So don't go all in on any. I don't care how much you believe in your vision, your plan, your business. Don't go all in. All right? And we'll explore a little bit more what that means here with number 5 here. Set milestones. So what I found for me is a good cadence or a good amount of time that lets me figure out what's good for my business is a quarter. So every 3 months, I'm reevaluating. I'm figuring out, am I on track or off track? If I'm not on track, I either need to make a course correction or dump it and move on to the next idea. So, and I'm doing this with a couple of things I have on my plates right now. And so digging into that a little more comes number 6. The enterprise itself needs to support itself. And if it can't support itself financially, it needs to fail. You got to stop throwing extra money into it, more money into it, doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, throwing more money at it, hoping it's going to work. Because either something is not lined up to be successful in that, and so you're going to continually put more money and more time into it, and if that investment isn't yielding results, cut your loss. Seriously. And I'm speaking to myself here because I'm facing this with a couple of things. And so I've got to look, okay, if I'm not making those course corrections to get it to that point where it's making money, where it's bringing me a profit, where it's got a true success, I have to stop it. I have to work on something else that's going to produce the real value for my family. So let's talk about the next thing here. Number 7, if you are insolvent, give it 3 months before you do make a decision. So for me, the 3 months is the period of time I've chosen as a quarter of time. And what that means for me is insolvency is a simple mathematical test you can do for any of your business. I have this much of a burn rate every month. I got these bills. I got to pay $1,000 for this and $1,200 for that, et cetera, et cetera. If based on those two numbers, that's $2,200 in expenses. If I'm not making $2,200 or more, that means I don't have enough income to pay for the business expenses. That means you're insolvent because your revenues are under your expenses. Now, you have a choice. You can throw more money into it, use the credit card, borrow from someone. But if you're continuing to do that without an end point, without a stop line, you're going to go into a continual spiral of fail. Because that means there's something with the business that you haven't figured out, you haven't course corrected, and you haven't got it to the point where you can get that back up to where a healthy state, where you're now revenue positive, profit positive. And if you're not doing that, you got to stop this thing. You got to get off that cycle. Now this brings me to the next point. Don't borrow money that isn't for an asset that you can liquidate. If you want to shore up the gap there, you got this $2,200 that you got to make every month to pay for your business. But if that's for something that's intangible, like a rent or an expense that you'll never get back, that's bad money to borrow. Because in my experience, if you can't, okay, let's say I decide after 3 months I have to shut this thing down, but I borrowed $10,000, but that just went to rent. Well, somebody else got that $10,000. That's not going to pay for it. That's not going to do well for your life because now you're in the hole for the next thing that you want to try. Okay, so if that's the case, you want to put money into things that are an asset. So, for example, instead of spending if you borrow $10,000, put it into something that you can use. A printer, a high-speed, dual duplex photocopier printer thing. You can use a printer for a lot of stuff outside of that one business you're working on. If it's an asset like a vehicle, you can use that for a lot of stuff. That's what I mean. If that thing is something you can take and liquidate, maybe it's furniture, maybe it's something that's tangible that you can do and sell at auction for 25 cents on the dollar, it's still got value. That's a better way to spend your money. Because I'm not in favor of throwing money after money into paying for ongoing expenses, because you're tricking your economy of your business, and now you're not going to be able to if your business is broken fundamentally and it's not generating revenue, and you throw more money in it to shore up that gap. But if your fundamental business isn't in a position, it becomes healthy where it can do that, you'll never fix that problem and you'll never pay the money back. So now you're stuck, right? So that's not a good situation to be in. All right, number 9. Don't borrow money from family. I have made this mistake. And it complicates relationships, absolutely, in unpredictable ways. Won't go into the details. You can think of that, how that can affect you. But what you're really doing, and this is where I'm really coming from on this, is what you've done now is you're taking a chance in your business, which is your right. That's your chance to do what you think is the right vision. But you're transferring all that risk to your family. And that's the problem. And that's where I see is where I've made a mistake, and I will never borrow money from family ever again. I don't care if it's $1. just like my last principle there is, if I'm insolvent, I need to be able to stand on my own or fail on my own. I need to not be dependent on family for money, for that kind of support. I mean, there's always cases where there's a short term and there's a large exception to the rule, of course, but as a rule, you want to not borrow money from family. Number 10. This is so important. I see such new entrepreneurs doing this all the damn time, and it's so frustrating to watch. Never cosign for anyone else. Ever. This comes back to the last one. Don't borrow money from family. They shouldn't be cosigning for you. They're cosigning, friends and family funds to you, and they shouldn't be doing that, and you shouldn't be asking them. Never co-sign for someone else. So there's two main gains on this one. The first one is that includes you signing for your business. Okay, so don't go to get a personal loan for your business. That's a rule. Now, of course, there's exceptions. If you've got a really, really tight business plan, you've got a clear way of making money, and you've got some proof and evidence to support that, that's a mitigated risk, and that might make sense. But it comes back to some of these other principles I mentioned. If you get to a point where it's not making money, it's insolvent, you need to cut that loss. And so what that should mean is, if you do borrow, say, $10,000 as a loan from the bank, you don't have to spend it all at one shot. Spend maybe the first $3,000 of that $10,000 within that first quarter, but then you dip into that as you need to going forward. Now the last one here. This is part of that same don't co-sign. Never take a personal guarantee, because you have to decide if your business is going to succeed or fail based on the merits of that business. If you are now commingling yourself, your personal assets into that business that may or may not succeed, you are putting your family at risk. Don't do it. I'm here to say, I have never done that. Actually, that's not true. I have signed for it in my first year of business. People told me don't do it, and I listened to them, and I said, you know what, that makes good sense. For 24 years, I have never co-signed for my business. I won't do it. Now, I will put, as a director of the corporation, I will put a personal signature against for example, the corporate bank accounts. That's a little bit different because I haven't taken it to, a notary public or whatever it is to have it notarized, and it's actually genuine, personal guarantee in the sense that they can sue me. I'm acting in that role as a director of the corporation, signing as an authority for the bank account, not as the individual investor person saying I'm putting a personal guarantee on a bank loan or a line of credit. That's a different matter. Okay, so here's the bonus. Here's the bonus thing, and I want you to hear me. You're going to get screwed at some point. If you're in business long enough, you're going to have a fight with someone, and someone's going to be mad at you. You're not going to get something you expected. They're going to get mad at you. You're going to get mad at them, and you're going to want to sue. I've been down this road several times, and I've come to a point where unless that value, and it's usually money, is at least 6 figures, where you've been ripped off, and you don't want to sue. I'm telling you. The only people that rule the realm there are the lawyers. And the main thing about lawsuits is you're going into court thinking that realizing you've been screwed and you want to get justice. You will not get justice. You will go through pain and suffering. It will aggravate the situation beyond your understanding. If you've never done this, I guarantee you, it will suck. Big time. Don't do it. Cut your loss. Move on. You can make more money. You can focus on the future. That's where you should direct your energy on. If for me, my line is $100,000. If it's less than that, I'm not even going to bother talking or thinking about it. It's just, that's it. I'm moving on. I'll work on the next thing. If it's more than that, all right, you have a kind of a responsibility. You got to start looking into it. But your line might be lower. You might be at the 25,000 line. That's way too much money. But the reality is, if you're following some of these other principles, you're not going to get into that situation. If someone's not paying you as they're expected to over a small period of time, chances are they're going to rip you off in the long term. So stay on top of your receivables. Stay on top of those types of things. Don't borrow money. You won't even have to get down this line. But those are the 11 things I wanted to lay on you today. I've been down those roads. I'm still kind of learning from these things myself. But I also know that these things to save me from really losing my shirt. I've been to the brink of bankruptcy a few times. I've escaped. And hopefully I'll stay that way. And I hope that you will too. So I hope this has been useful for you. Share it, like it, subscribe, hit that bell, and we'll talk soon. Take her easy.